I like to say thank you, everybody. It's been a few minutes, hasn't it? I miss all of you. What y'all been up to? I can't wait to find out later on. And I want to thank Jack again and the board of directors for inviting me back, and especially for this special time, this special circumstance, and this very special service we have planned. As you know, we are both at the end and the beginning of the year. And this is an opportunity to release, that is, to let go and be free, and also to release, which is to gain a continuance on the path of releasing our own Christ potential. I'm going to turn this around just a little bit so I can see all of your faces there. So our guiding scripture for today is from Isaiah chapter 43, verses 18 and 19. And it says, "Do not remember the former things, or ponder the things of the past. Listen carefully. I'm about to do a new thing. Now it will spring forth. Won't you be aware of it? I will even put a road in the wilderness and rivers in the desert." And this scripture just jumped out at me. It gives so much promise, and I love that whole book of Isaiah, but just that, that Spirit of God talking to us, that internal voice saying, hey, don't worry about those things. As they say in those, I don't know if you ever watched The Sopranos or any of those Italian shows, they're like, hey, forget about it, huh? Forget about it. Just forget about it. Whatever went on before, hey, just forget about it. We're going to bring something new out. So I really appreciate this message of Spirit just saying, hey, man, it's a new time. There's newness coming in every single direction. Be open to it. So my message today is called Re-Lease, and it's kind of a play on words because it's the first part of it. It's a two-parter. There's a release factor, which we're going to talk about, and we're going to have a very poignant ceremony where we release and we dissolve things, and also release, where we're getting a new lease on things. So the first part of this message is in chapter 18. Do not remember the former things, or ponder the things of the past. And again, this is our release segment. And there's an opening story I'd like to share. It's called The Burden of Resentment. This is an old Buddhist tale, and it illustrates today's theme, I think, pretty well. Once, two monks were traveling together, making their way down a muddy road. And they soon came upon a young woman trying to cross a river, but she was struggling in the mud. Well, the older monk immediately lifted her and carried her across the river to the other side and set her down gently. The two monks continued their journey in silence. Hours passed, and finally, the younger monk could no longer contain himself. He burst out, "How could you carry that woman? You know we're not supposed to touch women." And the older monk, he replied calmly, "I set her down hours ago. Why are you still carrying her?" Well, this story, it definitely offers us a profound lesson on the importance of release. And like the younger monk, we often carry things for a long time, long after they've served any purpose. Whether it's resentment, anger, bitterness, now these feelings only weigh us down. And in the end, they keep us from experiencing the peace that we seek constantly. So in this portion, we're going to explore a little deeper this concept of release. Also, is in Unity, we also talk about release as forgiveness, right? And also denial. Unity, we talk about denials and affirmations. And denials always precede the affirmation. And this isn't like denying that bad things happen to us, or we've experienced challenges, or denying our feelings. Rather, it's denying their power over us. That's the importance of this release. It's not like when we forgive, we're just letting things go and saying, oh, it's okay if you walk over me. Oh, that's all right. No, it's acknowledging that it happened. We might have experienced a hurt or a challenge or something, but again, we're not giving it any power over us. In the words of Edwin Gaines, a noted Unity minister, She talks about forgiveness is not something we do for one another. Forgiveness is something we do for ourselves. We can do it for another, but it always starts as an inside job. I love in Unity, one of the things we talk about is involution always precedes evolution. It always begins as an inside job. We got to check ourselves and correct ourselves and heal ourselves before we can truly express that healing out to others. So think of forgiveness in this sense as an emotional house cleaning. And I love that idea of an emotional house cleaning. I don't know about all of you, but now that Christmas is over, my wife and I are packing up the decorations. We're starting our deep cleaning of the house. My wife has already started this morning, and that's what you know I'll be doing after the service. I've been conscripted. That's right. Never too early to start. We want to start the new year with a clean slate and a clean house. So, what this emotional house cleaning does is it lets us make room for the good we desire and receive all that the universe has to offer. If we refuse to forgive, what we're doing is we're clinging to those self-defeating feelings, such as guilt and shame and blame, hurt and resentment. We named a few in that last song, right? Did we name just a few of those? So again, when we do this, we cannot feel truly worthy of having the best that God can give us. We cannot and will not accept God's gift if we're clinging to these negative emotions. So it's also important to note that it's not always the negative things we need to release. Think about this. This thought came to me this last week because it's always been about, releasing the negative, releasing the negative, releasing the negative. But here's a thought I want you to consider today. This is going to blow your minds. It did mine. That often when things are going good, we settle into this comfort zone, and that place can keep us from experiencing our next stage of growth. You ever get that complacency, right? Oh, everything's just great, hunky-dory, I'm just moving along. That's good, we're in comfort. But it's not pushing us to our growth that our souls drive us towards. And when that gets frustrated, you ever that feeling of frustration? I'm feeling it this time of year, where it's like, my life is great. I'm grateful for everything I have, but there's something more. I feel a need to evolve more or something. And guess what? That includes pushing the boundaries a little bit and getting out of the comfort zone. When I was a child, my mom would have us clean out our toy boxes and create a pile to give away to the children who were less fortunate. And a lot of the toys in the piles are ones I didn't play with anymore or anything, but some of the ones were ones I didn't necessarily want to part with. I'm like, my mom's like, no, it's going, kind of in that, like my wife, in that cleaning mode. All the toys are going, everything's going. And the first thing I used to donate to the kids were those plastic Hot Wheel tracks. You know those ones where you put them together, they're about 3 foot long? My mom was Indiana Jones with one of them things, man. I'd be acting up and she'd grab one of them things and whack, da-da-da-da, whack! So again, those are the ones I give away, but a few of the things that I wanted made their way into that pile. I'm like, I don't want to give that up. My mom's like, don't worry, you'll find more toys. And guess what? Once those toys were gone, I didn't end up missing those toys. There's, you're a kid, okay, on to the next thing. But what I found is bigger and better toys or things came to replace that void. And so that's a lesson that I was contemplating and that I've taken into my adult life. Sometimes we have to release the things that we love the most, or care for the most, or want the most. For instance, when I went into ministry, I was on the music team of Unity San Diego for a lot of years, and I loved singing every Sunday. But when I made the commitment and answered my calling to ministry, I don't get to sing as much regularly. But I get to do so many other things. I get to speak in front of large groups of people in so many different churches. And I get to perform with all these little groups a lot of times. I get invited. So it's expanded my world, and I'm so grateful for it. And thank you, Jack, for giving me that opportunity in singing with this great bunch of people. So again, that thought I want you to keep in mind, because it's a hard one to grasp sometimes. Like, oh, what do I need to give up that I like doing? And not that you have to totally give it up, but what am I attached to? What can I kind of let go of to expand my universe, my horizons, my life experience? So those two things I want you to consider, that I need to release the negative things, but also the positive things. So now we're going to move into a brief period of meditation to prepare for our dissolving bowl. And again, think of this dissolving process as a change of form. We're releasing the stuff that, as I talked about earlier, the negative stuff, but also the stuff that might be holding us back, keeping us complacent. But yet it's dissolving. And like this mist we have in the air, this fog that rolls in, it's kind of that misty fog. What does it do? The little particles create bigger water particles, and it creates nutrients, and it nourishes the ground and cleans everything. And then eventually that water evaporates if it goes in the ocean, and it turns into clouds again. So it's just this change of form. And so as we can release and dissolve these things, we'll experience a change of form that manifests into the best and highest good for ourselves. So I want you to take a moment now, get comfortable if you haven't done so already. Maybe wiggle those toes, stretch those shoulders out. Get those kinks out from the neck if you've been sitting. Let out a yawn if you so feel called. Close your eyes if you feel called, or maybe leave them halfway open. And let's just take a nice collective cleansing breath. Breathing in, holding it for a moment, and releasing. Again, just letting the thoughts we may have held before we came in here dissolve. Let's take another deeper breath this time. Breathing in that precious oxygen, feeling that prana, that energy of this room filling you. Holding it for a moment and letting it out. And with each consecutive breath, we find our own divine rhythm and flow. Breathing in, holding it, breathing out. Just find your own unique rhythm. Breathing in and breathing out. In and out. And as our minds, the thoughts, the emotions, the things begin to dissolve, our mind becomes clear, like a white slate. So in this moment, I invite you to take these statements, these questions that I speak, hold them in your consciousness. What events or situations is it time for me to put down? What do I need to let go of? Where am I being held hostage in my past? What grudges am I still nursing? Where in my life am I feeling too comfortable? Let those questions just germinate within your head, moving in your heart. And we're going to take a few moments in the silence and listen to our hearts, the answers that it gives us. So we now take a few moments to contemplate a little bit deeper and listen in the silence. What events or situations is it time to put down? What do I need to let go of? Where am I being held hostage in my past? What grudges am I still nursing? And where in my life am I feeling too comfortable? I invite you now to bring yourself out of this time of silence, but maintaining that clarity and that peace. Using these questions as prompts, or maybe you have your own prompts birthing within inside of you, but what do you want to release? What do you need to release to be the best version of yourself moving forward? So now let's take a few moments in this state of peace as we awaken and come into the moment. Please take your piece of dissolving paper when you feel called and write what Spirit has prompted you to do. If you need an extra piece of paper, we have those. And our dissolving bowl is in the back with sunshine. Oh, I'm sorry?
I'll bring it on the front.
Oh, it's already on the front?
I'm going to bring it.
Oh, you bring it, okay. And so we'll take a few minutes and again, just take your time, we're not in a hurry. Contemplate, write, and when you feel called, you may come up and put it into our dissolving bowl. And just feel that energy when you put those into the dissolving bowl and you watch them dissolve. Feel that energy, feel that release, feel that sense of freedom. I invite everybody to just take a deep collective breath, breathing in, just letting it out, feeling the peace and the freedom that comes after this, feeling lighter, feeling clearer. I'm going to close this portion out. One of the disciples once asked Jesus, "How many times should I forgive? 7 times? More?" Jesus said, "No, 70 times 7. And the way I view this portion, this exchange, is that, we do this once a year symbolically, but this can be the beginning for us. We can do this in each moment. We can do this in any experience throughout the year. We may not have a bowl of water handy, but we can do it within our minds to, gently feel these feelings when we're feeling anger or feeling those feelings of frustration or grudging towards people. We can take a moment, take a breath, release it, and let it dissipate, and be who we are called to be. So the next portion of our ceremony is lease. And it's the second part of Re-Lease. And have you ever heard that saying, getting a new lease on life? right? A new lease on life. That's what we're going to do today. And the second portion is we have our guiding scripture. The second part of that is chapter 19 out of Isaiah 43, where God is saying, listen carefully. Listen carefully. Stop. That's what we did during meditation, right? We were listening. I'm about to do a new thing, and now it will spring forth. Will you not be aware of it? That means we need to be open. Open to the movement of spirit within us. Open to that feeling we have in our gut. Open to those promptings when we're feeling a little restless and we know that there's something more for us. There's a better version of ourselves waiting there, and we just need to take the first step. And so Spirit even says, I will even when you're aware of it, I will even put a road in the wilderness with big signs, big neon signs, and get off here, exit here. I'm going to put signs on this road, and there's going to be rivers in the desert. And what that means is, when you're aware and you're open, you're not only going to be guided, but you're going to be nurtured as well. So this idea of a lease, and has anybody taken out a lease on a car or a home or anything like that? It's basically an agreement, right? So I look at this idea of a lease and getting a new lease, and what we're doing each year, we talk about New Year's resolutions and everything, is we're renegotiating a lease. We're trading the old model of ourselves, right? That old model of the year, and some of it was good, some of it, we might have faltered a little bit, but there's a newer model there, right? And that's why a lot of people do leases with cars, is because they want the next newer and best model. And so that's what we can do. Think about this letter of intention we're going to be writing. It's a new lease. It's a new lease on ourselves. We know in each step, in each iteration, there's a higher and better version of ourselves. Creation dictates it, that we evolve and grow. That's why we're here. That's why we're having this human experience, is to evolve and grow in our spiritual unfoldment. So again, this new lease, the Fillmores got the idea. They actually wrote a lease, a covenant between each other and the Spirit when they were creating the Unity movement. So again, this new lease on life. So we're going to call it, some call it a letter to God. But I like that, the saying or the label of a letter of intention. Letter of intention. What are our intentions this year? So we're going to move into a short time of meditation again to consider who do you want to be in this next moment, in this next day, in this next month, in this next year and beyond? How do you want to show up? You want to be more kind, compassionate, loving? Do you want to be prosperous? What are those things you want? And leaving also, not just saying like a little kid at Christmas pointing to the Cadillac, I want this, I want this, I want this, I want this. But knowing, putting your faith and trust in that source, that Spirit, that presence, to bring things in unexpected ways. So again, it's that awareness and that openness like they were talking about in Isaiah. So it isn't about putting the blinders on and saying, this is what I want and I want this, because how many times have you not gotten what you wanted in life? And it turned out, when you look back on it, you're going, I'm so glad I didn't get that, right? Like when I was a kid, I used to get toys, but then my parents would sneak in like socks and underwear, and I'd open it up and going, that's not a real present. But at some point, I was grateful to have clean socks to wear. It made my mom happy. So we're going to move into this idea of a new lease on our lives, a new lease on ourselves and our spiritual development. So I'd like you to go ahead and hold that feeling. We've already had that great meditation for the first one, and now we're going to slip back into that being, that sense of comfort and wellness and guidance that we have. So I invite you to close your eyes for a moment, taking a nice breath in, breathing out, and again, just letting any thoughts dissipate, any lingering effects from our dissolving. And remember, we are empty vessels. We are pure. We are a full ball of clay, ready to be molded and shaped. And so, with each breath, feel yourself just sinking into that space of openness and awareness. And as I read these statements from the co-creation from Larry Swartz, I invite you to let them sink into your ears, move through your brain, your consciousness, your mind, and feel what they mean to you. I accept that I am an extension of source energy of God and am totally self-responsible as I create ever new versions of my reality. I know there is only a stream of well-being that ever beckons me to allow its flow to take me to my good. I understand that all efforts to push upstream will delay the wellness, abundance, clarity, and joy that are mine. Therefore, I decide to let go of all resistance of everything I do. I do not want and focus ever increasingly on the desires I really want to experience and enjoy. Within the knowledge that I can never get it wrong because I am always creating something new, I choose to reach for thoughts of appreciation, thankfulness, and joy, and to consciously accept that I am so very blessed. Realizing that everything I have asked for and desired has been given and now is within my personal spiritual escrow account, I joyfully take this moment to visit whatever your desire is. You may have your own that wasn't named. And now I visualize and verbalize a virtual reality tour of this desire and reach for words that describe how I feel as I become a vibratory match for it in my life. And again, a virtual reality tour of who you want to be, how you want to show up. So I invite you now to take these ideas for a few moments into the silence. And as you feel called to, take out the card that was given to you and write out your year. It doesn't have to be a whole year, it can be in bullet points. But again, anchoring and listening to that voice inside of you, that desire that wells up in your heart. Give us a virtual reality tour of your year. I see if you are still writing, you can continue writing. And when we are done, you can deposit them in either the collection basket or see Sunshine in the back. She will take them. But I want to leave you before we close out this portion with a benediction. So again, I invite you to let these words sink into your ears, into your mind space, and into your consciousness. I now have a covenant with my higher self, and I affirm that I will only accept self-responsibility and an active level of claiming back authority of what I allow to be in my vibrational signature. I will always seek to live my life based on my own concept in co-creation with Spirit of what I should be, do, or have. And I am now dedicated to establish within my vibrational signature only wellness, abundance, joy, clarity, and anything else, any other good thing you can think of that you want in your life. And we can say to ourselves truly, I am at peace. So again, release. Easy enough to remember. Release and re-lease. Gain a new lease. So I hope that's easy enough to remember. Moving through the year, we can always let go of things, and claim that new idea of the person that we want to be, that better version of ourselves. And lastly, I got this card with a little key on it, and it's so appropriate because I have a closing scripture, and it comes from Matthew. And Jesus says, I will give you the keys to the kingdom of heaven, and whatever you bind on the earth will be loosed in heaven, and whatever you loose on earth will be loosed in heaven. So I bless each and every one of you. And I affirm with you, the highest and best version of you is on its way. In fact, it's already here. God bless each and every one of you. Namaste.